As you know, my name is Mahdi Satri. I'm 17 years old and I'm a proud Jewish Arab Muslim. Today I decided to talk with you about many things that are happening here in Israel, and no one have an idea about these things. And as you know, I'm joining the idea of the Israeli Defense Forces with a few months. So let's talk about military, what's really happening in Israel. What's really happening in Israel that every single Jewish person in Israel have to serve in the military for 3 years, and for girls they have to serve in the military for 2 years. What's happening in Israel that Arabs, can't choose neither to serve in the IDF or not, and that's racism. Everyone is calling Israel a racist apartheid country. But in Israel, Arabs can choose to serve in the IDF and to serve in military or not. But all the Jewish people in Israel have to serve in military for 3 years. Let's talk about Israeli Arabs. Israeli Arabs are living in Israel with all the rights. If you're an Israeli Arab, you can be wherever you want. You can be a doctor, you can be a professor, you can be an attorney, you can be even a judge, you can be a member of parliament, you can be a minister in the Israeli parliament, and you can do wherever you want. You can study wherever you want in the universities, and you have a free study till the high school, and after the high school you have to pay for university studies as for everyone, alright? So Israeli Arabs are living in heaven in Israel. Are living in heaven. Look at what's happening in Syria. Look at what's happening in Iraq. Look at what's happening in Saudi Arabia. Women cannot drive a car in Saudi Arabia. They are not accepted to drive a car. Can you imagine this? And look at what the most Israeli Arabs are doing in Israel. They are doing terrible things. Nashat Meli was an Israeli Arab who did a terror attack in Sarah Market, Tel Aviv. He killed 4 people in Tel Aviv. He was an Israeli Arab. But at the same time, we have many Israeli Arabs that are serving in the IDF, that are serving in Israeli Defense Forces, and most of them are Jews and Bedouins and Christians and Muslims. I have many Christian friends, many Christian Jews and Muslim friends that are serving in the IDF. Israel is the only democratic state in the Middle East. Israel is the only democratic state in the Middle East. And look at what the world is calling us: apartheid, racist country, war criminals. Okay, so now let's talk about what's really happening between us and between the Palestinians. What's really happening between us and between the Palestinians is that Palestinians every single day they are stabbing our people, every single day they are stabbing innocent people, and 3 days ago a Palestinian terrorist stabbed a British Christian woman in Jerusalem. She came to Israel to study in the University of Jerusalem, and she came back to the UK as a dead body. What's really happening in Israel is that Palestinians are stabbing every single day. They are stabbing innocent people. A half year ago, they stabbed a 13-year-old girl. They stabbed a 13-year-old girl. Her name was Aliyah Fariel. They stabbed her only because she was Jewish. They stabbed her while she was sleeping in her bed only because she was Jewish. And after the terror attack, I went to her home in Hebron near the West Bank with the member of parliament MK Amir Khana, and it was really very touching when her dad hugged me. Her dad, Halil Fariel's dad, hugged me. He hugged a Muslim, and at the same time a Palestinian Muslim killed her daughter. It was really very touching, and it was so hard for me to walk in her room where she got stabbed to death only because she was Jewish. It really was hard for me to look at her mother's eyes. It was really hard for me. Palestinians are doing terrible things every single day in Israel. They're doing unimaginable things. So just asking, you want us to keep calm about what's happening? You want us to keep calm, to not do anything about what's really happening? people are saying that Israeli soldiers are killing innocent, blah 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 blah. Israeli soldiers are killing terrorists. And I think if any terrorist would do any terror attack in the US or the UK or wherever in the world, they will shoot him to death. And that's what's happening in Israel. And sometimes they arrest. If the soldiers can, they arrest the terrorists. There's the tourist if they can, but if the tourist is a real danger, they shoot him to death, and that's what every tourist deserves. And now let's talk about Gaza. Let's talk about the big Palestinian conflict. What's happening between Israel and Palestinians in Gaza is that Hamas, a terrorist organization, that the whole world say that Hamas is a terrorist organization. Hamas are doing, are sending rockets to Israel, so Israel respond to those rockets. And what's happening real in Israel, that Hamas started, and every single war between us and between them, they started every single war by doing many things. The last war started between Israel and Gaza was because Hamas kidnapped three young Jewish teenagers, and they killed them all because they were Jewish. And that's the sad story, that everyone's looking at what's happening in Gaza, and they don't give a damn about what's really happening in Israel. They don't give a damn about our children that are being stabbed every single day. They don't give a damn about the women and men that are stabbing in every single day by Palestinian terrorists. And the most important thing, Israel has the right to defend itself. And we want to keep culinary million years in any attack against our citizens. And in the last war, Israel sent messages to the neighborhoods where Israel want to target. Israel sent messages, dozens of messages to the Palestinians who are living in Gaza and their neighborhoods, to tell them that we are going to do a strike in this area. Please go out of your homes. We are going to strike this area because we know that there are many weapons in this neighborhood or in this area. What Hamas did, actually, and I heard that from Palestinians living in Gaza. As you know, my father was a Palestinian, and he helped the IDF, and he did double political asylum. And I heard from Palestinians that Hamas said to them, if you are gonna leave your house, we will kill you. That's what Hamas said to the citizens. And the whole world is really silent about what's happening in Israel, and that's really sad, because children, women and men are being stabbed to death only because they are Jews. Only because they are Jewish. And excuse me, I see no difference between what's happening in Israel, what's happening now in Israel in 21st century, and what happened in the Holocaust. Israel is doing many things to humanity, many things to humanity, as taking 100 Syrian children to take care of them, to give them treatment in the Israeli hospitals. Only 2 weeks ago, Israel took 100 Syrian children to give them treatment in the Israeli hospitals, and they're here near my village in Nahariya hospitals. There are many Syrian children, Syrian innocent people that giving treatment here in Israeli hospitals. I'm not racist, alright? I'm not racist, not at all. I'm just telling the truth about my country. I'm saying what's really happening here in my country as an Israeli, Arab, Zionist, Muslim. I'm saying just the truth, what's really happening in Israel. And I think the world needs to know the truth. Wake up, people, please. Wake up, for God's sake. You have to wake up. You have to wake up, because now it's really dangerous when, Jewish people are being stabbed here in Israel only for being Jewish. And you stand with the Palestinians that are stabbing innocent people. The Palestinian goal is to stop as much as they can. They don't care if the victim is Christian or Jewish. They only want to kill and stab any non-Muslim in Israel, in the West Bank, and in every single area, because they believe that every mujahid, every single person who kills a Jewish person or a Christian person will go to their heaven, Jannah, and he will get 72 virgins. That's what's written in your book, you know. I'm not a racist at all. I'm just telling the truth, and I'm telling what I really think about as an Israeli Arab. You know, my father, my mother, my family. I am an Arab. I'm a Muslim, and that's what's really happening for Israel. And just please share this video. Let us tell all the people the truth. The world needs to know the truth. As an Israeli Arab, long live Israel. And another time, my friends, share. Long live Israel. I'm Israel Chai. Goodbye.